this morning, Hunter Biden woke up thinking he had a plea deal. But tonight, not only is he without one, but he is still under active investigation. Now, the president's son had expected to plead guilty to tax and gun possession charges after making a deal with the Justice Department. But the judge today raised some concerns about the deal, calling it unusual and tangled. In fact, at one point, she asked, is it even constitutional? Now, prosecutors and Biden's lawyers fought back and forth, and eventually he changed his plea when the judge said that she could neither accept nor deny the deal in its current form. So now, after thinking a deal could put all of his legal problems in the rear view mirror, ahead of his father's re-election run no less, the politics just got a little messier. It's giving Republicans a new reason to keep pounding on their investigations and to cry foul over the alleged sweetheart deal that the president's son allegedly received. Now, I want to begin by bringing in former Justice Department prosecutor Joseph Moreno, former Trump White House Associate Counsel May Mailman, CNN political commentator Maria Cardona, and CNN political commentator and former Republican Congressman Charlie Dent. Joseph, I want to start with you because this is so confusing, I think, for the average person. Usually you think it's a plea deal, they've hammered it out in advance, they go into the court, it gets more or less rubber stamped and they go about their business. That did not happen today. Why did this fall apart? But really, why did it fall apart now?
Well, Abby, it's funny because if there was one lesson I was told as a junior prosecutor, it was have your ducks in a row before you get before a judge. And for the idea that both sides didn't benefit their side at all here, whether it was Hunter Biden's lawyers or the prosecutors here, to go in and to there was the question about whether it was a little lenient. The constitutional point was about whether the diversion was legitimate. But really, it came down to a meeting of the minds as to whether or not this was the full scope of the prosecution. Could Hunter walk out and say, I'm done? And clearly, the prosecutor said, well, no, we're going to keep investigating. There are other potential crimes coming here, charges. And the defense counsel said, whoa, wait a minute, absolutely not. And so to see this unravel in front of a judge, it must have been an amazing spectacle. But really, what a mess.
In some ways, it almost seems like the judge did Hunter Biden a little bit of a favor by clarifying that.
Well, she said, it doesn't seem, Hunter, like you actually know what you're pleading to, so I can't accept this deal that doesn't appear to be knowing and voluntary. But, what was kind of shocking to me, and I think what a lot of Republicans took away from this, is that it seemed like, yes, there was the written deal that we all know about, but was there some sort of unwritten deal, a wink and a nod deal about we're not going to prosecute you for other charges? And the judge asked the prosecutor in this case, have you ever given a similar deal, this sort of circumstance, to any other person? And the prosecutor in the courtroom said, no, never before. And I think that was this, what is going on moment.
What a royal screw up by both the prosecution and the very high-priced defense. Not to know the scope of immunity walking in this. Could he be charged under Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA? They didn't know that? Maybe Chris Christie's right. They need an independent counsel to go after this.
Yeah, you raised a good point. So Christie tweeted today, I've seen enough. We need a special prosecutor who has jurisdiction over any and all Biden family investigations. This is a charade. Get rid of the U.S. attorney, that's David Weiss, and appoint a special counsel who will investigate with competence and independence. In some ways, if you are a Democrat, if you are at the Biden White House, that it wouldn't be the worst thing to have an umbrella for all of this stuff, all of these wild accusations about Hunter Biden and the foreign dealings and the influence peddling, and just have someone independent look at all of it at the same time.
I think what isn't the worst thing, Abby, is that this continues to underscore how obsessed the Republican Party is, focusing on this, pushed by their MAGA extremists who have a stranglehold on Republican leadership in Congress, and how obsessive this is about going after Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is not in office. Hunter Biden does not work at the White House. Hunter Biden did not get one vote. Hunter Biden is not running for re-election. The American people understand that. And so to me, as a Democrat and as a voter, the more that Republicans sickly obsess over Hunter Biden and talk about some ridiculous two-tier justice system when the special prosecutor is Trump appointed, when the judge is Trump appointed, it just doesn't fall on any kind of reality. And I also think that it gives a chance for Democrats to underscore and highlight the massive hypocrisy when Republicans are trying to talk about the special deal that Hunter got in passing on his family name and trying to benefit from it, when the Trump kids who worked at the White House enriched themselves by billions of dollars through the Chinese, through the Saudis, right there in the people's house. I think this is a huge loser for Republicans, and if that's where they want to focus their energies, bring it on.
See, I think this might shift the feeling, the general feeling, which I think you definitely capture, which is there is an obsession with Hunter Biden. And I think Republicans have been trying to say, no, it's not Hunter. We care about Joe, and we care about this, DOJ lack of fairness. And when you see today that there is some sort of investigation that Hunter Biden is scared enough about, probably relating to foreign business dealings, now you've got some questions that bring in the IRS whistleblowers. Now you, I think, can start shifting that narrative
I disagree.
to Joe Biden.
There has been no connection, no real connection that Republicans have been able to make.
Maria, I agree that Republicans will overreach on Hunter Biden, and I'm no Trump guy. But I have to say, looking at this Hunter Biden situation, a guy getting paid 50, 60 grand a month to serve on a Ukrainian gas company board who was admittedly addicted to drugs. I mean, this smells. It's nothing illegal, but it stinks. It just smells of influence peddling. And again, I'm not saying Joe Biden did anything wrong. I'm just saying it smells bad. The average person sees. Same with the Chinese deals. And I'm not going to defend anything that Trump did. But people are asking legitimate questions about how does that happen?
I want to ask Joseph a question here about just going back to what happened in the courthouse today. Why is it that the prosecutors would not have been clear about what else is being investigated here, especially if it has to do with FARA, the foreign registration part of this, which is a far more serious allegation? Why would they not have sorted that out before getting into this courthouse?
I'm going to put on my conspiracy hat. I'll say this. I'll say that.
Go right ahead.
that the prosecutors had planned to keep the investigation open so that Hunter Biden could assert his Fifth Amendment rights and not be hauled before Congress, and the prosecutors not be hauled before Congress to have to answer, because they can say the investigation's still going. But then when the judge picked at that and said, well, wait a minute, why are we still here then? Why aren't we putting this off until the investigation is over? And then she put the prosecutors on this. I know at that point they said, well, actually, yeah, more charges could come down the road. So I think that everyone was perfectly willing to let the investigation stay open with the hope that it would kind of quietly die on the vine in the next couple of years. When the judge called it out and kind of shone a spotlight on it, now they said, yeah, actually, we are going to keep going, and FARA is possible, and that made everyone real uncomfortable.
Well, look, I do want to move on to something else, but the die on the vine point is something that it transcends administrations here. It was allegedly dying on the vine under Trump and now under Biden, and there's still no explanation as to why that happened.